Hey, Mr. Parka here, and what I want to do is do another underrated actors video. This is going to be a bit different, though. Instead of talking about pretty much their entire career, I'm just going to focus on 5 films that the actor did that really touched me, that I really enjoyed, and his performances were really strong in. And I felt, even if they were small performances, they really made the movie that much better, or he really carried the film. That actor is Chris Penn, brother Sean Penn. I've always been a big fan of Chris Penn. As a kid, I watched a lot of his movies growing up, and he holds kind of a special place for me. Not to mention the fact that Chris Penn, most of his characters really resembled one or two of my friends. I have a lot of friends. Obviously, everyone has friends, but 2 of my friends who kind of have their own like distinct personality. Either Chris Penn was kind of like one or the other, and some roles he seemed like both of them combined. And not to mention that if you took my 2 friends here and combined them, they would look just like Chris Penn. And the funny thing is that this made me even like Chris Penn even more, as if I knew him, if that makes any sense to anyone. And his roles I thought were always really great, and I always thought he did a phenomenal job in them. Some of the other movies that are worth mentioning to me are The Funeral, where Chris Penn plays a suicidal brother of Christopher Walken. After one of their brothers dies, he becomes on the edge. The movie has a great cast. It's by Ferrera, who did King of New York. And it's a really dark, slow-burning movie, but the end is crazy and involves a very Chris Penn climactic moment, which is amazing. Also, I thought that he does have a small role in Rush Hour. I don't know. Corky Romano, those movies don't really, I don't care too much about. He does great in them. He does other movies like Footloose, which I'm not really interested in, and stuff like that. Future Kick, stuff like that. But these 5 movies here that I'm going to show, I thought that he was great in. He also did a movie called The Boys Club, which I haven't got a chance to watch, and he was in Trail of a Serial Killer, I believe, with Michael Madsen. Another movie he did with Michael Madsen was The Florentine, also with Tom Sizemore. And that movie was decent, but the cast, a couple cast members did great, a couple did kind of crappy. Chris Penn did well. He's also in another movie called Deceiver that was stuck out to me with Tim Roth, where he plays a kind of down on his luck detective. He's in 100 movies. Chris Penn's in thousands of movies. I know there's going to be a million comments underneath like, check this out. Have you seen this? Chris Penn that. But I know I might have seen him, I might not. But feel free to go ahead and let me know which of some of your favorite Chris Penn movies are. But my personal top 5 favorite, I'll start off. The first one is Best of the Best. This also has Eric Roberts in it. And basically this is your typical 80s mixed martial arts film, but it has the aspect of Americans versus Koreans, kind of the Rocky IV deal going on. And basically it's an American team of karate experts facing against Koreans. And they get trained by James Earl Jones and Sally Kirkman, and John P. Ryan's like higher up. And basically they train through. And Chris Penn in this film plays Travis Brickley. And he basically is this kind of like cowboy guy. He wears a hat. He's from Miami, Florida. He's kind of like this big country guy. And he's absolutely hilarious. He doesn't get along with the team. He's got a mean streak. And he has a lot of great one-liners in the movie. At one point in a bar scene, he's dancing with, he steals Kane Hodder's girlfriend. Kane Hodder's a big, tough guy. I played Jason. And he steals his girlfriend. He's dancing with her. And Kane Hodder goes up to hit Chris Penn. And Chris Penn moves. And his girlfriend catches the punch. And Chris Penn, Travis Brickley looks over and says, yeah, that's right, don't take no lip from her, which is really funny stuff. And he gets in an Asian character's face and said, what's the matter, yellow? And the guy says, obviously. I just love Chris Penn in this movie. He doesn't ever, they're doing yoga and stuff like that, and he's just sitting there on the side like, really? Come on. And he's great in the film. His fight scene's awesome. It comes down to the brick breaking. And I really loved Chris Penn in this movie. I love the movie. But another one I liked even more than that was the sequel to Best of the Best 2. Now, Chris Penn has only a 30-minute scene in this movie. He's in the first 30 minutes, but he is excellent in this movie. He gets in, it's a sequel to this one, much different from the first. This one comes out and they're in an underground fighting circuit. Chris Penn gets involved with, fights this guy named Brackus. Brackus kills him, and his friends get revenge. But the scenes that Chris Penn are in are glorious. At this point, he's friends with the other guys from the karate expedition, and their bond of friendship really shows. Chris Penn does an excellent job when he's talking about Brackus. Brackus tells him he has a big mouth, and Chris Penn says, yeah, and a big everything else. It's really funny stuff, and the first guy that Chris Penn fights is great. He comes out and he's a boxer, kickboxer from Paris, France, and he's black, and Chris Penn sees him, he says, Paris my ass. Chris Penn's just this bigot asshole in these movies that's cocky but has a good heart. And he's just great in this film. And a lot of mentioning about Chris Penn later on in the film is cool. Travis, at the nightclub, they come looking for him, which is an underground circuit. And Eric Roberts says, Wayne Newton tries to play it off that Chris Penn was never there. He's like, and then eventually he gives in and says, oh yeah, your friend was here dancing. And Eric Roberts says, Travis Brickley doesn't dance. And that was an awesome scene. Just loved Chris Penn in this movie. I was really sad when he died in this film. Really, I was just upset me. It kind of reminded me of one of my friends getting killed. I was like, God damn it. And then another one that really I thought was a great film, and Chris Penn has a pretty decent-sized role in, and I thought he did excellent in, is At Close Range, with Sean Penn, his brother, and Christopher Walken. And Sean Penn plays his half-brother, and Christopher Walken plays Sean Penn's father. And basically, Christopher Walken's this low-life scum. It's based on a true story, and he recruits Sean Penn, his own son, after they're been separated for a long time, and begins to use him and his friends, including Chris Penn, into robbing these things. And Chris Penn is kind of a dim-witted guy in this movie, but he's really cool, you know. And the bond between Chris Penn and Sean Penn is really cool in the film. And of course, Chris Penn meets his untimely demise as well. And before he dies, Christopher Walken kind of made him out to be his son too, was telling him things like that. And it's really kind of shocking when he screams, "No, Dad, don't!" And he gets shot. It's upsetting. It's a great movie. If you guys haven't seen At Close Range, all the performances are top-notch, including Chris Penn. Another one I'd like to talk about here. This cast is amazingly huge. I know he has only probably a 15-minute role in it, but it's just a great role. He plays Officer Nicky Dimes. He's partners with Cody Nicholson, Tom Sizemore in this movie, and them together was excellent to see. Chris Penn and Tom Sizemore as cop partners. It is the film True Romance. The cast is amazing in this. Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, not to mention Victor Argo, Paul Ben-Victor, the brother from Grounded for Life, James Gandolfini, Chris Penn, Tom Sizemore, Samuel Jackson. The cast is probably the most impressive cast on film of all time, maybe besides the last film I'll be showing. But anyways, this follows Christian Slater as he steals some coke from these mobsters, and he's got mobsters looking for him, he's got cops looking for the coke, he's got a whole wide variety, and at the end it comes to this giant Mexican standoff, and Chris Penn and Tom Sizemore are cops trying to get in on this bust, because it will heighten their careers, and Chris Penn's really great in it. Some of the comments he makes are excellent. Him and Tom Sizemore play off each other really well in this movie, and at the very end is an excellent scene. One of the machine gunners in the room during the Mexican standoff, after smoke clears and almost everyone's dead, he's hurt and he's dying, and Chris Penn walks up to him, and the guy says, "Call me an ambulance," and Chris Penn says, "Shut up." The guy says, "Fuck you, I'm bleeding," and Chris Penn calmly looks at him and says, "I'll call you Hearst. This is for Cody." And he shoots him because he killed his partner. And I just love that. I was just like, eye for an eye, man, at the very end of that. Just in the heat of the moment, he pulled the trigger because the guy killed his friend. Really love Chris Penn in this movie. Unfortunately, doesn't pull through for this one either. Gets killed too. But True Romance is a great film, written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Tony Scott, filled with action, filled with great cast, filled with quotable lines, filled with the best end shootout ever. I don't care what anyone says. Room packed full of recognizable faces just blowing each other away like 20 guys. A couple have machine guns, a few have shotguns, 8 cops. It's just amazing. And finally, I saved his most famous film for last. One that he does truly a great job in, and one that he'll probably be remembered for forever. That is Reservoir Dogs, where Quentin Tarantino's first feature film, where he plays nice guy Eddie Cabot. There he is, right there. And watching the special features, he said that he basically was dressing like that. His role, nice guy, he was dressing like that in real life. And he said, an independent film, I just kind of was showing up on set like that. And, you know, it was kind of pathetic. I was dressing like that at the time, but, you know. Anyways, personally, I think any Reservoir Dogs person that's seen Reservoir Dogs at first will bond with Mr. Blonde or Mr. White or Mr. Pink. But after you've seen the movie several times, you start to realize that nice guy Eddie really has one of the best performances. His lines, his freakouts, he's just great. And anyone that knows me knows I'm a huge Chris Penn fan, nice guy Eddie fan. But at the end of this film, the speech that he gives about Mr. Blonde's death, about their friendship and everything like that, letting them finally know who he was and his connection to him is amazing. His voice freaks and changes in there like 6 or 7 times. You can feel his emotion, his insanity, just his cold calculatedness is amazing in this. Also, the fact that right when he walks in and Mr. Orange is talking about, he was pulling a burner cop, and he says, who, this cop? Boom, boom, boom. And you're just like, oh, shit. He means business. And I just love that scene at the very end. This man you just killed just got released from prison. He got caught at a warehouse with a bunch of hot items. He could have walked if he would have said my father's name. Just that line right there. Or, at work, I got everyone saying, Larry, stop pointing that gun at my dad, because that's just one of the best lines in the movie. And, he's just going to decide out of the fucking blue to rip us off? Come on. I love him in this movie. He's got some of the funniest lines in the movie, and he's just one of the most likable characters in the film. And him and Michael Madsen play great together again, hence why they probably did a few movies later on. But that's my tribute to Chris Penn. I just picked 5 near-dear films. Like I said, there's more. I've seen more. It's just those 5 really stick out to me. I know he's in One Tough Cop, too. Just lots of movies he's been in, hundreds of movies. And those 5 right there stick out to me as just being 5 of my all-time favorite films. And Chris Penn was in them, and I loved him. He's the reason I liked him so much. I just wanted to show my love for Chris Penn, and rest in peace, because I think truly you're one of the most underrated, underappreciated actors of all time. And God bless.